Ambassador Kethvar stepped off the transport ship and felt the warm air of Kepler 442c touch his crystal skin. The planet looked much like the reports had said. Blue skies, green plants, and strange yellow star overhead. But reports never told the whole story. That was why the Galactic Council had sent him here. His compound eyes swept across the landing area. Humans moved around him, busy with their daily work. They were smaller than he expected. Most alien species in the galaxy stood at least 8 feet tall. These humans barely reached 6 feet. Their skin was soft and pink with no natural armor or weapons. They looked weak. Ambassador Kethvar, a human woman, approached him. She wore a simple blue uniform with silver bars on her shoulders. "I am Commander Park Su. Welcome to New Busan Colony." Kethvar studied her through his electromagnetic senses. Her heart beat fast, but her voice stayed calm. Interesting. Most species either feared his kind or tried to show dominance. This human did neither. "Commander Park Su," he said, his translator making his crystal voice sound more normal. "I thank you for allowing me to visit your world. Please follow me. The other council members are waiting to meet you." They walked through the colony and Kethvar took notes on everything he saw. The humans had built their homes from local materials. Smart but not impressive. Most of their buildings were small and simple. Children played in parks between the houses. Their laughter echoed off the walls. "Your people seem very relaxed," Kethvar observed. Park Su smiled. "We work hard, but we also know how to enjoy life. Would you like to meet the rest of the leadership council?" The council meeting room was plain but comfortable. 3 other humans sat around a wooden table. Park Su introduced them one by one. "This is Dr. Kim Hana, our chief medical officer." A woman with kind eyes and steady hands stood up to greet him. She moved like someone who had seen much pain but never stopped trying to heal it. "Engineer Lee Tae handles all our technical systems." A man with grease-stained fingers and bright eyes nodded at Kethvar. His electromagnetic signature showed the unique patterns of someone who thought in complex mathematical equations. "And Counselor Yun Bora manages our civilian affairs." The last woman looked tired but alert. Her mind moved quickly, processing multiple problems at once. "Please sit," Park Su said. "We know why you are here. The Galactic Council wants to know if humans should join the Confederation of Worlds." Kethvar settled his crystal body into a chair made for smaller beings. "That is correct. I will observe your colony for several months. I will study how you handle problems, how you treat each other, and how you might fit into galactic society." Dr. Kim Hana poured him a cup of something that smelled like flowers. "What would you like to know about us?" "Tell me about your defenses," Kethvar said. It was always his first question. Every species in the galaxy faced threats. How they prepared for danger told him much about their character. The 4 humans looked at each other. Engineer Lee Tae spoke first. "We have basic security systems. Nothing fancy. Our real protection comes from being so far from major trade routes. Pirates and raiders usually do not bother with colonies this small." Kethvar made a note. "Naive. Most successful species understood that isolation was not protection. What about your military?" Commander Park Su's expression changed slightly. "We have trained personnel and basic equipment, but we are primarily a farming and research colony. Our mission is to build a peaceful life here." This confirmed what Kethvar had suspected. Humans were builders, not fighters. They might make good workers or scientists in the Confederation, but they would need protection from stronger species. "Show me your colony," he requested. Over the next few days, Park Su and the others gave him tours of everything. The farms impressed him most. Humans had created vertical growing systems that produced 3 times more food than traditional methods. They had studied the local soil and modified earth plants to grow in alien dirt. Dr. Kim Hana showed him the medical center. "We treat not just humans, but any creature that needs help," she explained. In one room, a local animal that looked like a purple cat slept peacefully while recovering from surgery. "You operate on alien animals?" Kethvar asked. "All life has value," she said simply. "Besides, studying their biology helps us understand this world better." Engineer Lee Tae took him through the power systems and communication networks. Everything worked smoothly, but nothing seemed advanced by galactic standards. "We build things to last," Lee Tae explained. "Fancy technology breaks down. Simple systems keep working." Counselor Yun Bora showed him the schools and community centers. Human children learned alongside young versions of local animals they had domesticated. The sight bothered Kethvar for reasons he could not name. "Why do you bond with alien species?" he asked. "They were here first," Yunbora said. "This is their world too. We are just guests who decided to stay." That evening, Kethvar sat alone in his assigned quarters and reviewed his notes. The humans seemed nice enough. They worked hard, cared for each other, and tried to fit into their new world instead of changing it completely. But nice did not mean strong. The galaxy was full of species that would see human kindness as weakness. He walked outside to get some fresh air. The colony was quiet but not empty. Guards walked patrol routes around the perimeter. They moved silently and kept watch on the dark areas beyond the lights. Their weapons were simple but well-maintained. One guard noticed him and approached. "Good evening, Ambassador. I am Captain Han Gildong. Is everything all right?" "I could not sleep," Kethvar said. "I wanted to see your night operations." Han Gildong smiled. "Not much to see. Quiet night. Would you like to walk with me?" They walked along the colony edge together. Kethvar used his electromagnetic senses to scan the area. He detected the guard's calm heartbeat, the sleeping animals in the distance, and something else. Very faint energy signatures from several points around the colony. "What are those readings?" he asked. Han Gildong looked confused. "What readings?" Kethvar pointed toward one of the signals. "There. Something electronic, hidden." The captain's expression did not change, but his heartbeat jumped slightly. "Probably just environmental sensors. We monitor the local weather and animal movements." The answer made sense, but something felt wrong. Environmental sensors did not need that kind of power output. Kethvar decided not to push the issue. Yet. The next morning brought news that changed everything. A message arrived from the edge of the star system. Long-range sensors had detected ships approaching. Big ships. Unknown ships. Commander Park Soo called an emergency meeting. When Kethvar arrived, he found the 4 council members huddled around a display screen showing sensor data. "What is happening?" he asked. Dr. Kim Hana looked up with worried eyes. "Ships are coming. 12 medium-sized vessels and 1 very large one. They are not responding to communication attempts." Kethvar studied the sensor readings. The energy signatures looked familiar. His crystal body went cold as recognition hit him. "Those are Karvek ships," he said quietly. The room fell silent. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Karvek. They were raiders and slavers who stripped worlds bare and took prisoners to sell in distant markets. Their ships were alive, grown rather than built, with hardened shells and weapons that spit burning plasma. Engineer Li Tae broke the silence. "How long until they arrive?" 48 hours, Park Soo said. Kethvar expected panic. He expected tears and desperate calls for help. Instead, the humans became very still and very quiet. "We need to prepare," Yunbora said calmly. "Prepare?" Kethvar watched in confusion as the humans began making plans. They spoke quietly and moved with purpose, but showed no signs of the fear he expected. It made no sense. Did they not understand what the Karvek did to colonies like theirs? As the meeting ended and the humans scattered to their tasks, Kethvar realized he might have been very wrong about these creatures. They were either too innocent to understand their danger, or they knew something he did not. Either possibility frightened him more than the approaching ships. The next morning, Kethvar woke to sounds he had never heard before. Voices calling out orders. Machinery moving. The peaceful colony was transforming into something else entirely. He rushed outside and stopped in shock. The farming platforms he had admired were splitting apart. Hidden panels slid away to reveal weapons underneath. Large guns rose from what had looked like innocent growing towers. The entire agricultural system was changing before his eyes. Engineer Li Tae stood nearby, directing teams of workers who moved with practiced efficiency. When he saw Kethvar, he walked over. "Good morning, Ambassador. I apologize for the noise. What is happening here?" Kethvar's voice cracked with confusion. Li Tae wiped grease from his hands with a cloth. "We are getting ready. The Karvek will be here tomorrow night, but these weapons, where did they come from?" "They were always here," Li Tae said simply. "Hidden under the farms. We built this colony to look peaceful, but we also built it to be defendable." Kethvar stared at the nearest weapon platform. It was a railgun capable of firing metal slugs at enormous speeds. The technology was advanced, maybe even better than what most galactic species used. You have been lying to me, he said. Li Te shook his head. No, Ambassador. Everything we showed you was real. We really are farmers and researchers and doctors. But we are also humans, and humans prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. A group of people ran past carrying medical supplies toward the hospital. Kethvar recognized some of them as the teenagers he had seen playing in the parks. Now they moved with serious purpose. You are using children as soldiers? His voice filled with disgust. No, Dr. Kim Hana said, appearing beside them. We are using children as medics and support staff. They volunteered. We do not force anyone to fight, but we do not stop anyone from helping their community either. She looked tired but determined. I need to convert the medical center for trauma surgery. We will have wounded people tomorrow night. You really think you can fight the Karvik? Kethvar asked. Dr. Kim Hana and engineer Li Te exchanged a look. Something passed between them that Kethvar could not read. We think we can try, she said. Kethvar spent the day watching the colony prepare for war. What he saw made no sense according to everything he knew about combat psychology. When most species faced extinction, they either panicked or went into rage mode. The humans did neither. Instead, they worked. They sang while they worked. Old songs, new songs, songs in languages Kethvar had never heard. Commander Park Soo walked from group to group, checking on progress and offering encouragement. At lunchtime, the entire colony stopped for a shared meal. Families sat together in the main square, eating food and talking quietly. Children asked questions about what was happening. Adults answered honestly but calmly. Are the bad ships really coming, Mom? A little girl asked her mother. Yes, Minjung. They are coming tomorrow night. Will you keep me safe? I will do everything I can. And so will everyone else here. We all look after each other. The child nodded and went back to eating her soup. Kethvar sat at a table with Counselor Yoon Bo-ra. She was coordinating supply distribution while eating her lunch. This is incredible, he said. Your people show no fear. Yoon Bo-ra looked up from her data pad. Oh, we are terrified, she said matter-of-factly. But fear is just another problem to manage. Like bad weather or equipment failures, how can you be so calm? Because panic gets people killed. Clear thinking and good preparation keep people alive. That afternoon, Kethvar visited the underground shelters where non-combatants would hide during the attack. The spaces were well designed with good air circulation, food supplies, and communication systems. But what caught his attention were the drawings on the walls. Children's artwork showing their families, their pets, their favorite places in the colony. We wanted them to remember what they are protecting, Yoon Bo-ra explained when she found him there. Evening brought a discovery that shook Kethvar to his crystal core. While walking near the colony perimeter, he detected more of those strange energy signatures. This time he investigated without asking permission. Hidden beneath a grove of local trees, he found weapons and sensors that belonged in the arsenal of a major military power. Anti-ship missiles, energy shields, detection systems that could track targets across half the solar system. Captain Han Gildong appeared behind him. You should not be here, Ambassador. Kethvar spun around. What is this place? What are these weapons? Insurance, Han Gildong said. Every human colony has them. We hope we never need to use them. But if someone comes to hurt our people, we want to be ready. Your entire species is militarized? Han Gildong considered the question. No, we are colonists and families and workers. But we are also human, and humans do not give up easily. They walked back toward the main colony together. Along the way, Han Gildong pointed out other hidden systems. Shield generators disguised as water towers, communication arrays built into decorative sculptures, weapon caches hidden under playground equipment. How long did this take to build? Kethvar asked. We started before the first colonist arrived. The construction teams built the hidden systems first, then covered them with the civilian infrastructure. But why? This world is so far from anywhere. Why build such defenses? Han Gildong stopped walking and looked up at the stars. Because space is big and dangerous. Because bad things happen to good people. Because our children deserve to grow up safe, he paused. And because we are human. We do not start fights, but we finish them. That night, Kethvar could not sleep. He walked through the quiet colony, thinking about everything he had seen. These humans were not what they appeared to be. They were farmers who were also warriors, doctors who were also tacticians, children who were also defenders. Most disturbing of all, They seemed to think this was normal. He found Commander Park Soo standing on the roof of the command center, looking up at the stars through a pair of binoculars. "Cannot sleep either?" she asked without looking down. "I am confused," Kethvar admitted. "Your people prepare for war like experts but live in peace like innocents. How is this possible?" Park Soo lowered the binoculars and smiled sadly. "Because we have learned that the universe does not care about innocence. Good people suffer. Children die. Evil wins sometimes." She handed him the binoculars and pointed to a specific star. "But we also learned that good people can fight back. That children can be protected. That evil can be stopped." Kethvar looked through the binoculars. In the distance, barely visible, he could see the approaching Karvek fleet. 12 smaller ships surrounding one massive vessel that looked like a living mountain of bone and metal. "They are beautiful in their own way," Park Soo said quietly. "The Karvek grow their ships instead of building them. Living vessels with living weapons. Very impressive. Are you not afraid?" Park Soo was quiet for a long moment. "I am terrified," she said finally. "But fear is not the enemy. Giving up is the enemy. Letting evil win because fighting is hard is the enemy." She took the binoculars back. "Tomorrow night, Ambassador, you will see what humans do when someone threatens our families. I hope you are ready." As Kethvar walked back to his quarters, he heard something that made him stop. Singing. Soft voices coming from the residential area. Parents singing lullabies to their children. Teenagers singing songs of friendship and courage. Adults singing old ballads about home and hope. The humans were going to sleep with music in their ears and love in their hearts, knowing that tomorrow might bring death and destruction. It was the most terrifying and beautiful thing Kethvar had ever witnessed. The Karvek fleet would arrive in 18 hours. And despite everything he had learned, Kethvar still did not understand how these strange, soft creatures thought they could win against one of the most feared military forces in the galaxy. But for the first time since arriving on this world, he hoped they were right. The Karvek fleet arrived exactly when the humans predicted. Kethvar stood in the colony's command center, watching the sensor displays as 12 destroyer-class bioships and one massive dreadnought dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. The ships were exactly as terrifying as their reputation suggested. Each destroyer was a living creature the size of a city block, with hardened bone armor and weapons that pulsed like beating hearts. The dreadnought was 10 times larger, a floating mountain of organic technology that could level entire continents. Commander Park Soo sat calmly at the main console, surrounded by her staff. Dr. Kim Hana monitored medical systems. Engineer Lee Tae watched power distribution. Counselor Yoon Bo-ra coordinated civilian evacuations to the underground shelters. "Incoming transmission," reported Communications Officer Kim Ho-jin. "Put it through," Park Soo said. The main screen filled with the image of Warlord Gasktar, commander of the Karvek fleet. He looked like a walking nightmare made of chitin and rage. Multiple eyes glowed red above a mouth full of razor teeth. "Humans of this pathetic colony," the warlord's voice echoed through the room like grinding metal. "I am Warlord Gasktar of the Karvek Empire. You have 1 hour to surrender all your resources and submit to enslavement. Refuse and we will burn your world and take what remains." Every human in the command center looked at their leader. Park Soo stood up slowly and walked to the communication console. She leaned forward and spoke directly into the pickup. No, that was all. One word. No threats, no demands, no negotiations. Just a simple, absolute refusal. Gaskatar's multiple eyes widened in surprise. Clearly, he had not expected such a direct answer. "You dare refuse the Karvek Empire? You are insects. We will crush you like the worthless creatures you are." Park Soo smiled coldly. "You are welcome to try." She cut the transmission. The attack began 30 minutes later. Kethvar watched from the command center as the first wave of Karvek fighters approached the colony. Small, fast bioships that looked like flying predators swooped down from orbit, their plasma weapons charging for the killing strike. "Defense grid active," Engineer Lee Tae announced. The hidden railguns revealed themselves all across the colony. What had looked like farming equipment opened fire with perfectly coordinated timing. Metal slugs traveling at incredible speed slammed into the attacking bioships. 3 fighters exploded immediately. 2 more spun out of control, their living hulls ruptured by kinetic impacts. The remaining ships pulled back, clearly surprised by the fierce resistance. "First blood to us," someone said quietly. But Kethvar knew this was just the beginning. The real battle would come when the destroyer-class ships entered the fight. "Ambassador," Dr. Kim Hana said, appearing at his side, "you should move to the underground shelters with the other civilians." "I am here as an observer," he replied. "I need to see what happens." She nodded and returned to her medical preparations. Through the command center windows, Kethvar could see medical teams setting up triage stations in reinforced buildings throughout the colony. The next wave came an hour later. 6 destroyer bioships descended into the atmosphere, their massive forms blotting out sections of sky. These were not small fighters but full warships, each one capable of destroying everything the humans had built. "Here they come," Park Soo said calmly. The destroyers opened fire with plasma cannons that turned sections of ground into molten glass. But the humans had prepared for this too. Energy shields activated around critical buildings, deflecting the worst of the attacks. More importantly, the hidden missile batteries revealed themselves. Anti-ship missiles launched from concealed positions all around the colony. Not just one or two, but dozens of them, rising from underground silos that had been invisible until now. The missiles were not simple explosive warheads. As they struck the destroyer bioships, they released clouds of what looked like glowing dust. "What are those?" Kethvar asked. Engineer Lee Tae grinned fiercely. "Dr. Kim Hana's special recipe. Nanobots programmed to disrupt Karvek neural networks." The effect was immediate and devastating. The bioships began writhing in the air as their living control systems went haywire. 2 destroyers crashed into the ground outside the colony. A third started attacking its own allies, but the Karvek were not helpless. The remaining ships adapted quickly, their living hulls developing new defenses against the nanobots. The battle became a deadly dance of move and countermove. That was when Kethvar saw something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. 3 human fighter craft launched from a hidden base outside the colony. They were tiny compared to the bioships, like insects attacking dragons. But they flew with impossible precision, coordinating their attacks with split-second timing. Captain Han Gildong led the formation. Kethvar recognized his voice on the communication channels, calm and professional even as he flew directly into the heart of the enemy fleet. "Tiger Leader to base. Beginning attack run on Destroyer 7. "Copy, Tiger Leader. Watch out for the plasma arcs." The 3 fighters dove toward the largest destroyer, their weapons blazing. The bioship tried to swat them like flies, but they were too fast and too smart. They used the destroyer's own size against it, hiding in its blind spots and striking at critical points. Then disaster struck. One of the fighters took a direct hit from a plasma cannon. The craft spun out of control, its hull breached an atmosphere venting. "Tiger 3 is hit," came the pilot's voice over the radio. "Systems failing. I cannot maintain control." Kethvar expected the pilot to eject to try to save himself. Instead, the damaged fighter turned toward the destroyer's most vulnerable point, the neural cluster that controlled the entire ship. "Tiger 3 to Tiger Leader. I am going in." "Negative, Tiger 3. Pull back!" "For New Busan, for Earth, for the ones who come after." The fighter rammed directly into the destroyer's nerve center. The bioship convulsed once and fell from the sky like a stone. In the command center, someone was crying. Several someones, actually. But their hands stayed steady on their controls and their voices remained clear as they coordinated the battle. "That is impossible," Kethvar whispered. "What?" Park Soo asked. "Your pilot." He was terrified. I could sense his fear through my electromagnetic abilities. "But he flew into that ship anyway." Park Soo nodded. "Fear is not the enemy. Cowardice is the enemy." Tiger 3 was afraid, but he was not a coward. The battle raged for 3 more hours. The humans revealed system after system that Kethvar had not suspected existed. Orbital mines that had been waiting dormant in space. Energy weapons that fired from asteroid hiding places. Even small ships piloted by volunteers who used ramming attacks when their ammunition ran out. But the most terrifying human weapon was not any piece of technology. It was their ability to adapt and learn in real time. When the Karvik bioships developed immunity to the nanobots, Dr. Kim Hana modified the formula and had new versions ready within an hour. When the destroyers changed their attack patterns, Engineer Lee Tae reprogrammed the defense systems to counter the new tactics. When the enemy tried to jam human communications, the colonists switched to backup systems and kept fighting with perfect coordination. "How are you doing this?" Kethvar demanded. "You are outnumbered and outgunned. Your ships are smaller and weaker. But you are winning. Park Soo looked up from her tactical display. Because we are not just fighting for ourselves, Ambassador. We are fighting for our children. For our future. For every human colony that might face this same threat someday. She gestured to the displays showing the battle. Every tactic the Karvek use, every weakness we find, every successful defense we develop. We are recording all of it. Win or lose, this information will be transmitted to every human world in this sector. You are turning this battle into intelligence for other colonies. We are turning our sacrifice into weapons for our people. At that moment, Kethvar finally understood what he was witnessing. This was not just a battle between the humans and the Karvek. This was humanity's declaration of war against everyone who preyed on the innocent. The humans were not fighting just to survive. They were fighting to ensure that no one else would have to face this terror unprepared. As the last Karvek destroyer crashed in flames outside the colony, Warlord Gaskatar himself prepared to descend from his dreadnought. The real battle was about to begin, but Kethvar no longer wondered if the humans could win. He wondered if the galaxy was ready for what would happen when they did. The Karvek dreadnought hung in the sky like a dark moon, blotting out the stars. Warlord Gaskatar was finished playing games. His destroyers were gone, his fighters scattered. Now he would use the full power of his massive bioship to crush the colony and everyone in it. Kethvar watched the tactical displays in horror as the dreadnought's main plasma cannons began charging. Each weapon was the size of a building, capable of melting entire city blocks with a single shot. Incoming plasma bombardment, Engineer Lee Tae announced. Impact in 47 seconds. Commander Park Soo stood at the center of the command room, surrounded by her staff. Her face was calm, but Kethvar could sense the rapid beating of her heart. All stations, prepare for Protocol Zero, she said quietly. Every human in the room stopped what they were doing and looked at their commander. Something passed between them, a shared understanding that Kethvar did not recognize. Are you certain? Dr. Kim Hana asked. The dreadnought will level the entire colony in the next bombardment, Park Soo replied. We have no choice. Counselor Yoon Bora activated her communication system. All citizens, this is command. Protocol Zero is now in effect. Repeat, Protocol Zero is active. May the ancestors guide us. What is Protocol Zero? Kethvar demanded. No one answered him. Instead, every human in the command center began working with the same quiet intensity he had seen during the battle preparations. But this felt different, more final. Dr. Kim Hana left her medical station and walked to a sealed console Kethvar had not noticed before. She placed her hand on a scanner, then entered a long authorization code. Engineer Lee Tae did the same at a different console. Then Counselor Yoon Bora. Finally, Commander Park Soo. Biological interface activated, the computer announced. Deep scan protocols engaged. Planetary neural network coming online. The lights in the command center dimmed. Outside, Kethvar could see similar changes throughout the colony. Buildings that had seemed normal suddenly revealed hidden equipment. Massive antennae rose from underground positions. Energy conduits glowed beneath the streets. Ambassador, Park Soo said, her voice strangely distant. You asked what made humans different from other species. You're about to find out. The dreadnought's first plasma barrage lit up the sky like a red sunrise. The massive beam struck the colony's energy shields, which held for exactly 3 seconds before shattering like glass. But instead of burning the buildings below, the plasma beam struck something else. Tentacles. Enormous tentacles that erupted from the ground beneath the dreadnought, reaching up into the atmosphere like the arms of some impossible creature. What is that? Kethvar screamed. Dr. Kim Hana answered without taking her eyes off her console. The planet. We woke up the planet. The tentacles wrapped around the dreadnought's hull. The massive bioship, larger than most asteroids, was suddenly held fast by something even bigger. Warlord Gaskatar's ship writhed and twisted but could not break free. Impossible, Kethvar whispered. Nothing could be that large. The Kepler organisms, Dr. Kim Hana explained as her hands flew over her controls. They have lived beneath this world's surface for millions of years. The largest biological neural network in known space. Engineer Lee Tae looked up from his station. We have been talking to them for 3 years, learning their language, earning their trust. You allied with the planet itself? Commander Park Soo smiled grimly. We allied with the children of this world, and they do not like bullies. On the tactical displays, Kethvar could see the full scope of what was happening. The tentacles holding the dreadnought were not separate creatures, but parts of a single organism that stretched across continents. The humans had not just colonized this world, they had made friends with it. The Karvek bioship fired every weapon it had at the tentacles, but plasma beams that could melt metal barely scorched the ancient creature's hide. This organism had survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, and the birth and death of countless species. Artificial weapons could not harm something that had evolved for millions of years on this harsh world. The dreadnought is trapped, Li Te reported, but Gaskatar still has troops aboard. He could try a ground assault. As if summoned by his words, the Karvek warlord's voice echoed from the dreadnought's communication systems. Clever insects. You think your pet creature can save you? I have 10,000 warriors aboard this ship. We will burn your colony to ash and take your children for slaves. Transport pods began launching from the dreadnought. Hundreds of them, filled with Karvek soldiers in battle armor. They would land throughout the colony and attack from all directions. Here they come, Park Su said. All defense teams prepare for ground assault. But Kethvar was watching something else on the displays. The data streams flowing between the human computers and the planetary organism. The communication was not just tactical coordination. The humans were sharing everything they had learned about the Karvek. Battle plans, weapon specifications, tactical weaknesses. They were teaching the planet how to fight. The first Karvek pods landed in the colony's outer areas. Armored warriors poured out, ready for slaughter. Instead, they found themselves facing opponents they had never encountered before. Trees that moved like animals, their branches striking with the speed of whips. Ground that opened up to swallow entire squads. Vines that conducted electricity, turning the Karvek's own metal armor against them. But the humans had not left everything to their alien ally. Throughout the colony, defense teams emerged from hidden positions. These were not just the security personnel Kethvar had expected. Farmers, doctors, teachers, even teenagers, all armed and trained and ready to defend their home. Medical team to Sector 7, Dr. Kim Hana's voice came over the communication system. We have wounded civilians. Negative, came the reply. Sector 7 is under heavy assault. We cannot reach you. Then we go to them, she said simply. Kethvar watched in amazement as Dr. Kim Hana gathered her medical supplies and headed for the door. You cannot go out there, he protested. The fighting is too heavy. She looked at him with eyes that held both kindness and iron determination. People are hurt. That is what doctors are for. She left, and Kethvar never saw her come back. But throughout the night, wounded humans kept arriving at the medical station she had prepared. The battle for the colony raged for 6 hours. Kethvar monitored it all from the command center, watching displays that showed a conflict unlike anything in recorded galactic history. This was not just a military engagement. This was an entire community fighting for its survival with every tool, every skill, every life they possessed. Engineer Li Te used the colony's industrial systems to create new weapons in real time, modifying farming equipment into combat gear and programming manufacturing systems to produce ammunition. Counselor Yoon Bora coordinated not just military units but families, making sure every child was safe, every wounded person was treated, every fighter had what they needed. Commander Park Su directed the overall defense while simultaneously managing communication with the planetary organism, coordinating a battle that involved both human technology and alien biology. But what impressed Kethvar most was how the humans treated their enemies. When Karvek warriors were wounded, human medics still tried to save them. When enemy soldiers were captured, they were given food and medical care. Why do you help them? He asked Park Su. They came here to kill your families. Because they are people too, she replied. Terrible people doing terrible things, but still people. We fight their actions, not their existence. As dawn approached, the tide of battle turned decisively. The planetary organism had learned human tactics and combined them with its own ancient instincts. Karvek forces found themselves facing an enemy that could predict their moves and counter them instantly. More importantly, the humans had recorded everything. Every Karvek weapon, every tactic, every weakness had been analyzed and cataloged. Transmitting battle data to all human colonies in this sector, Communications Officer Kim Ho-jin announced. Package includes full tactical analysis, effective countermeasures, and recommended defense modifications. Warlord Gaskatar's final transmission came at sunrise. Human Commander, you have won this day, but the Karvek Empire spans 1,000 worlds. We will return with more ships, more warriors. You cannot stand against us all. Park Su's reply was broadcast on all frequencies, ensuring that every remaining Karvek soldier could hear it. Warlord Gaskatar, you are welcome to try. But understand this, every colony you attack will be ready for you. Every world you threaten will know your weaknesses. Every human settlement in this galaxy now has the tools to defend itself against your kind. She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. You came here expecting to find victims. Instead, you found teachers, and we have taught the galaxy how to fight back. The Dreadnought's communication systems went silent. The massive ship hung motionless in the grip of the planetary organism, its weapons offline, its crew defeated. Kethvar looked around the command center at the exhausted humans. They had won an impossible victory against overwhelming odds. But as he watched their faces, he realized they took no joy in the killing they had been forced to do. They mourned their losses. They tended their wounded enemies. 6 months after the battle, Kethvar sat in his office on the Galactic Council station, staring at a blank document on his computer screen. The cursor blinked steadily, waiting for him to begin his report on humanity's application for membership in the Confederation of Worlds. How did one explain what he had witnessed? He had watched a peaceful farming colony transform into an unstoppable military force. He had seen ordinary families become defenders of galactic peace. He had observed beings who could love and kill with equal dedication, who could show mercy to enemies while fighting with absolute ruthlessness. The humans had changed everything, and the galaxy was still trying to understand what that meant. News reports from across the sector told the story better than any official document could. The Karvek Empire, feared for centuries as unstoppable raiders, had announced a complete withdrawal from human space. 3 different pirate fleets had attempted attacks on human colonies, only to find themselves facing defenses they could not overcome and tactics they could not counter. More importantly, human defensive technology was spreading. The battle recordings from New Busan had been analyzed by military experts from dozens of species. The innovations the humans had developed were being copied and improved by civilizations across the galaxy. A soft chime announced an incoming call. Kethvar activated the communication system and saw Commander Park Su's familiar face on the screen. Ambassador Kethvar, I hope you are well. Commander Park Su, how is the rebuilding progressing? She smiled. Better than expected. The planetary organism has been helping us restore the damaged areas. We should be back to full capacity within another month. And Warlord Gaskatar, still our prisoner. Dr. Kim Hana says his wounds are healing well. We will transfer him to Galactic Council custody when you are ready. This was perhaps the most remarkable part of the entire affair. The humans had not executed their defeated enemy or sold him into slavery as the Karvek themselves would have done. Instead, they had treated his injuries and kept him as a prisoner of war, following galactic conventions even when dealing with a species that recognized no such laws. Commander, I must ask you something that has been troubling me for months. Of course, your people fought with incredible skill and determination, but I sensed fear in all of you, genuine terror. How did you function so effectively while being so afraid? Park Su was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was thoughtful. Ambassador, fear is information. It tells us when something we care about is in danger. The question is not whether we feel afraid, but what we do with that fear. She gestured to something off-screen. Would you like to see what we built with our fear? The image shifted to show the colony's new memorial garden. Stone markers bore the names of everyone who had died in the battle, human and Karvek alike. Children played among the flowers while their parents tended to the growing plants. We were afraid of losing this, Park Su said. So we fought to keep it. We were afraid of other families facing the same threat. So we shared everything we learned. We were afraid of becoming monsters, so we stayed human even in the darkest moments. And now? Now we are still afraid. But we are also ready. Kethvar ended the call and returned to his report. But before he could begin typing, another communication arrived. This one was from the Galactic Council's Military Analysis Division. The report contained information that stunned him. Human colonies throughout the sector were requesting permission to share their defensive innovations with non-human worlds. Not sell, share. They wanted to give away military, Technology that could have made them wealthy beyond imagination. The humans have submitted formal offers to help design defense systems for any confederation. Member world that requests assistance, the report stated. They are offering this aid free of charge, requiring only that the recipient worlds agree to share any improvements with other peaceful species. Kethvar laughed despite himself. Of course they were. These impossible creatures were trying to turn the entire galaxy into an armed camp of interconnected defensive alliances. They wanted to make everyone strong enough to protect themselves. It was brilliant. It was terrifying. It was completely, utterly human. His computer chimed with yet another message. This one was from his own government. The Velthani High Command had reviewed the battle recordings and wanted to establish formal military cooperation agreements with humanity. So did the Centauri Federation, the Rigel Commonwealth, and at least a dozen other major powers. Everyone wanted humans on their side. Finally, Kethvar began to write, Esteemed counselors of the Galactic Confederation, I submit this report on humanity's application for membership with the strongest possible recommendation for immediate approval and full integration into our alliance structure. Have observed this species under the most extreme conditions possible. I have watched them face extinction and choose to fight rather than surrender. I have seen them show mercy to enemies who deserved none, and extend kindness to beings who had tried to kill their children. Humans do not fit our traditional categories of member species. They are not a warrior race, though they fight with unmatched skill when necessary. They are not a peaceful civilization, though they seek peace above all other goals. They are not a technological powerhouse, though their innovations have already revolutionized galactic defense systems. They are something new, something unprecedented, something the galaxy has never seen before. They are protectors, not protectors of themselves alone, but protectors of everyone who cannot protect themselves. They fought the Karvek not just to save their own colony, but to ensure that no other peaceful world would face that threat unprepared. They shared their tactical innovations not for profit, but to make the galaxy safer for all sentient life. Most remarkably, they managed to do all of this while retaining their essential nature. They did not become monsters to fight monsters. They remained compassionate while being ruthless, merciful while being deadly, human while being more than human. I have one additional recommendation that exceeds the scope of this report, but which I believe is essential for the future security of the Confederation. Humanity should not simply be granted membership. They should be invited to establish a new branch of Confederation services, a rapid response force, dedicated to defending member worlds against existential threats. The humans have proven they can win impossible battles. More importantly, they have proven they want to help others win impossible battles. I believe they may be exactly what the galaxy needs to finally achieve lasting peace through strength. The choice before us is simple. We can welcome humanity as our allies and protectors, or we can force them to become our rivals and eventual successors. I strongly recommend the former. Kethvar submitted the report and leaned back in his chair. Within hours, the Galactic Council would begin debating humanity's membership. The discussions would be intense, the politics complicated, but he knew what the outcome would be. The galaxy had seen what humans could do when their families were threatened. No rational leader would want to face that power as an enemy. A year later, Kethvar returned to New Busan as the Confederation's permanent ambassador to humanity. The colony had grown dramatically, with new buildings and expanded defensive systems. But the essential character remained the same. Children still played in the parks. Families still shared meals in the central square. Dr. Kim Hana still tended to patients of every species with equal care. The only major change was visible in the sky above the colony. The captured Karvik dreadnought hung in orbit, converted into a research station where human and alien scientists worked together to develop new technologies. We turned their weapon of war into a tool for peace, Commander Park Soo explained as they watched the converted ship through the observation deck windows. It seemed appropriate, and Warlord Gaskatar, released to his people 6 months ago as agreed, with full medical care and a complete recording of the battle from our perspective. You let him go? Park Soo smiled. We are not jailers, Ambassador. We are teachers. Gaskatar learned something important during his captivity. He learned that there are beings in the galaxy who will fight to protect the innocent, but who will not seek revenge against the guilty. Has it changed him? That remains to be seen, but his clan has stopped raiding civilian targets. They have requested meetings with Confederation diplomats to discuss alternative economic opportunities. As they walked through the colony, Kethvar reflected on how much had changed since his first visit. The hidden weapons were still there, but they were no longer secret. Every building, every system, every defensive innovation had been documented and shared with allied worlds. The humans had turned their entire colony into a teaching tool, showing other species how to prepare for threats while maintaining their civilian character. In the memorial garden, he found what he was looking for. A simple stone marker that read, Captain Han Gildong. He flew into darkness so others could see the light. Standing beside the marker was a small human child, perhaps 7 years old. She was placing fresh flowers at the base of the stone. Did you know him? Kethvar asked gently. The child looked up with serious eyes. He was my uncle. Mom says he was very brave. What do you want to be when you grow up?